So what's your name and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Rosie. I'm a senior rotational physiotherapist at the Lister in Stevenage. I was at John Henry between 2008 and 2015, and I knew that I wanted to be a physio since I was about 13, so about a year 8, so that was quite lucky. So that meant that when it got to GCSEs and A-levels, I knew I'd have to have biology. It would be quite useful to have PE as well. So in A-levels, I did biology, chemistry and geography. I left John Henry in 2015, and the things that I was worried about were probably losing contact with my friends, making new friends, moving away from home. I went to Bristol, so it was about a 3.5 hour drive. It was quite a lot. And I guess about things like finances, keeping my savings, and whether I was going to have enough support.
So how was university like?
I loved uni. I went to the University of the West of England in Bristol. It was great. I had a good group of friends. Because we've got lots of healthcare degrees, we had a healthcare campus. So in my first year, I lived with a student, occupational therapist, radiotherapist, social worker, and a couple of other physios, and that was really cool. The degree itself was about half and half practical and what's the opposite of practical?
Theory.
Practical and theory. So we had a lot of practical teaching about anatomy, physiology. We've got 3 key areas in physio that we look at. One is musculoskeletal, which most people know physio for. So when you break your arm or your leg, or you've got knee pain, whatever it is, and you come in as an outpatient, you don't stay in hospital. Another is neurological physio, so when you've had a brain injury like a stroke, you've got Parkinson's, MS, lots of different brain injuries. We help the rehab in that. And then respiratory physiotherapy, so we help people with diseases such as cystic fibrosis, asthma, COPD. We do lots of acute therapy for respiratory conditions. We work in the intensive care unit. So I learnt about those 3 different areas, and then when I qualified, I started rotating, so you get to rotate through all the different specialties and see what you like and what you're good at.
And was it what you expected?
The degree was better than I expected. I was really happy with it, loved it, and I think all through school I'd always wanted to be able to do exams where I could just chat to someone and show them what I'd learned and what I was excited about. So there was quite a lot of that with physio, which was lovely, lots of practical exams, trying different patient situations. Loved all my friends, and the job itself as well. I've absolutely loved it since I started. I've been working for 2 years at the Lister. At first, when you're a junior, you do 4-month rotations. So I worked in stroke for 6 months, respiratory for 4 months, orthopaedics for 4 months, outpatients, and then I got a senior job, which is 9-month rotations. I worked out in the community, going to people's homes, and now I've come back into the hospital and I'm in the acute medical unit, and it's lovely.
How are you dealing with the whole COVID situation?
During COVID, I was out in the community going to people's homes. At first, it was the opposite of what everybody thought it was. We had to reduce our whole caseloads so that we could only see people who were absolutely necessary to be seen, so we weren't spreading risk to them. So it was quiet, to be honest, to begin with, and then we got loads of staff redeployed from all different areas that had been shut down, like children's physios, outpatient physios, speech and language therapists come in to work with us. So I had to do a lot of training up people who hadn't worked in that area for years and years. So it was difficult, but it was good, and people really were quite flexible, which was great. Saw a few COVID positive people in the community, and I was also still on call in the hospital, so you'd come in overnight for emergency respiratory situations. And it was all right. It was stressful at times, but for the most part, people pulled together.
Last question, why do you love what you do?
Why do I love what I do? Love looking after people. You meet loads of really cool, really interesting people all the time. You have some really funny conversations with your patients sometimes. You get to work with a multidisciplinary team, the doctors, the nurses, the social workers, all the support workers. pharmacists, everybody, and you learn a lot from everyone else. So your job is never really the same from one day to the next. You get to be really creative, and it's one of those things where you can just keep rotating and trying different things out until you find what you like. So I think that's really nice.
Do you see yourself doing this for a long time?
Yeah, I think I'll probably be a physio forever. That's what I love. So yeah.
Lovely, thank you, Rosie.
Thanks very much.